for our group to understand
Okay.
what you're saying.
Okay, so for me, when it comes to the hooking up to the septic, if it, like I was saying, if you're hooking up to the city's sewer system, that really would be the best way to do it. I still believe the fee should be smaller. You are going to be putting a slightly greater load onto that sewer system, but I don't believe you should be charged the same fee as somebody putting in a 2,400 square foot house, because it's not going to be as great a load that's being put on the sewer system. My concern is if you've got a septic system, an actual perked septic system, that the amount of bathrooms overall for the homes that are on the property do not overload what the septic system was actually designed for. And I know some septic systems might have been designed for 3 toilets, and the main house only has 1, especially with the older homes in West County. A lot of them just still have 1 bathroom. So you could easily put in 2 more homes, 1 each bathroom to them, without overloading the actual perked septic system. But what happens is if you overload the septic system, you actually you have the potential to damage the water table. That there's a reason why they get perked for a certain amount of toilets and a certain amount of bedrooms, is because you don't want to overload the capacity of the septic system. So I would just ask that would be part of your plan, is that you take that into account, because I would hate to see, I've told people, there's this law of unintended consequences, where we mean really well, but if we don't plan for all, possible outcomes, or as my partner likes to call them, worst case scenarios, if you don't have that planned into the system in the beginning, it's much harder to correct it later on once it's taken effect.
We do specify that
Okay.
they create a septic system that that has the capacity. So what are the specific fees then, and the things in terms of the auxiliary dwelling units that are prohibitive for someone other than the septic aspect?
A lot of it is simple things like laying the foundation. And every time a portion of a home goes up, the inspector has to come out and they have to sign off on each and every portion of the home that's been created. It's not like you just have them show up once and then have them show up at the very end. They have to show up multiple times, and you get charged a fee each time. I'm thinking perhaps, yes, they still show up each time, but there's just a single fee involved instead of a fee every single time the inspector comes out. I would also want to put into place that if it is being hooked up to the sewer systems, whether it's city or county run sewer systems, that the fees also be recognized as, if the home is only, with most granny units, I think it's about 840 square feet, and it should be proportional to the size of the home. It should not be the same as a 2,400 square foot home with 4 bedrooms, 4.5 bathrooms. It should be proportional to the size of the home instead.
And in our plan, we call for these units to be rent controlled. The idea that in return for providing a benefit to the county, a professed benefit to create attainable cost housing and retain it into the future, that the housing in return for a waiver of certain fees, or even a waiver of certain inspections, that might be, like not the septic ones, but perhaps the foundation ones, this sense that each building must be built to code and safety and have this structure that suddenly takes something that might be a $20,000 or $30,000 undertaking and makes it $100,000 or $150,000 undertaking. That there's a waiver of that fees. Do you support that notion of having a special category of auxiliary units that are rent controlled with no more than $900 with cost of inflation built in over the years?
Well, yes, because that's why the incentive for the lower fees. Because currently, a lot of these properties, should they choose to pay the higher fees, could put the property, they could actually build granny units on them. They could put second dwellings on them currently. It's the fees that stand in their way. So it's kind of a quid pro quo. If the county is willing to lower the fees involved and put a cap on the cost of building it, then yes, absolutely, there should also be a return that those properties will stay affordable and not become daily or weekly rentals for people just coming to visit from out of town, you know, Airbnb, Craigslist, those things.
Yeah. Which we have said no Airbnb.
Correct.
Okay, and what about the concept of no more than 4 per landlord putting them up, or that you have an ability to do up to 4 under this certain thing?
I would have
Is
to
that
say,
too many? How do you
yeah,
feel?
you know, because right now the county actually, I believe it's, you can have one home, I believe is it 2.5 acres? You can have one home, I think it is, per every 2.5 acres.
It changes with each district.
It does. So my concern once again would be the size of the lot. It would have to be based on the size of the lot. The safety of getting in and out of the lot, because once you have more homes on the property, you run into problems with if the fire department has to show up, can they access each of the individual units? Can ambulances easily get into each of these units? So you'd have to look at it in a comprehensive way of how big is the lot, first of all. Is it set up with septic versus sewer systems? And how big are these homes going to be? And once again, the safety issue of can emergency personnel get in there safely?
Okay, okay. Thank you.